what I find the most valuable in these sort of organizations is, like you said, it's not really about the dentistry. We find ourselves certainly talking about the topic of the night, but all the side conversation, the before, the after, is generally related to the running the business. And so you, as a member of this group, whatever type of mastermind group it is, generally get to learn from other people's positives and negatives. You don't have to make the same mistake because you can ask them the question, they can tell you how it worked or didn't, or literally direct you just to the exact right person for your specific need.
Today, how a guy with no experience had a crazy idea and how that crazy idea can deliver amazing results for you and your business. I'm Ken Newhouse. Building a profitable business isn't only about generating leads and driving sales. It's about who we are and what we're made of. It's about finding the most effective methods to persuade, inspire, and ignite the imagination of others so you can succeed in business. If you're a member of the new breed of entrepreneur, I invite you to join the quest as we reveal the newest and most effective methods you can use to get clients now. It was Margaret Wheatley who said, "Relationships are all there is. Everything in the universe only exists because it's in relationship to everything else. Nothing exists in isolation. If we want to be successful in business, we have to stop pretending we are individuals that can go it alone." And Keith Ferrazzi, author of Never Eat Alone, Who's Got Your Back, and several other best-selling books on business, who said, "Today's most valuable currency is social capital, defined as the information, expertise, trust, and total value that exists in the relationships you have and the networks to which you belong." And the formula, success in life equals the people you meet plus what you create together, was validated by science at the turn of the 21st century. Now, if you're like me or my most successful clients, chances are pretty good that you're currently part of a mastermind group. Maybe you've been a part of a mastermind group in the past. Or maybe you wanted to join or start a mastermind group, but you're unsure how to make it happen. Being a part of a mastermind group is something every consultant should prioritize because the unparalleled support, accountability, the untold benefits to your business, and specifically to your bottom line, and in many cases, the lifelong friendships you make with the people that are part of your mastermind. On the other hand, you may have never participated in a mastermind and you're wondering, what exactly is a mastermind? I think most people know that the term mastermind was created and conceptualized by Napoleon Hill back in 1925. Yes, this was quite some time ago. And ironically, Hill had zero experience when he embarked on the journey that eventually led to his first book, The Law of Success. Now, you might not be familiar with the Law of Success. That's when he first introduced the concept. But eventually, Hill went on to discuss the topic of the mastermind, right, and the power of the mastermind in greater detail in his runaway bestseller. And I know you've heard of this. And in fact, you've probably read this book multiple times. And that book would be Think and Grow Rich. Now, from the guy who actually created the term mastermind, who actually discovered the power of the mastermind, Hill said an understandable definition of the mastermind is this: it consists of two or more people who work in perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose. It is the principle which you may borrow and use the education, the experience, the influence, and perhaps the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. It is the principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depended entirely on your own efforts for success. So as we move into this, I think you're starting to understand a little more clearly what exactly is a mastermind. But today we're going to actually pull back the curtain and I'm going to show you direct proof, direct evidence of why it is you want to be part of a mastermind, whether you join one or whether you start one. For many of you, it's going to be to simply join one. But especially in the heart of the new COVID economy, now is the perfect time. There's never been a better time to become an active member in a mastermind group so it'll benefit you and your business. The benefits of being part of a dedicated mastermind group where every member, listen, this is critical, every member is committed to the success of everybody else involved, can be in the truest sense of the word, transformational, not only for you as an individual, but for your business, which, if we think about it, I've said this time and time again, we're all in business to make a profit on purpose. Now, when I talk about being every member committed, I'm talking about being part of a mastermind group where every member is not there with their hand out, there to take. They're there to actively contribute to the well-being of everyone else. Imagine this. You've got a group of 5 people. Every person in your group is there to make sure that everybody else in the group is successful. How would that group affect you and affect the success of your business versus being part of a group where the same 5 or 10 people are only there to see what they can get from the group? So when I talk about being fully committed to the success of everybody involved in the group, that's the mindset you have to come into a mastermind group with. And if you're part of a mastermind group and there are people in that group that are takers and not givers, get rid of them or go find another group. Now, for some of us, the new COVID economy in which we find ourselves, it's made virtually no difference to the way we bring new clients into our businesses, while others are actually struggling. And that's why being part of a mastermind group. You know, I said it once, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to continue to say it, as will our guest today. But being a part of a mastermind group with members that are committed, dedicated, and serious can literally inject new life into you and your business, or even better, it can help you take your business to record levels of success and profitability, yes, even in the heart of the new COVID economy. Now, if you've never been part of an active mastermind group, my first suggestion is that join a mastermind group before you actually go out and try to start one. Doesn't mean you can't start one having never been a member successfully, but my best recommendation, my best advice is that you join one first. And the first step to finding an existing mastermind group that you can join is to get clear on why you want to join a mastermind group in the first place. That's going to help you find the perfect type of group to become an active member. As an example, maybe your goal is to take your business from 6 figures a year to 7 figures a year, or in the case of some of our clients, from 6 figures a month to 7 figures a month. Maybe you're interested in gaining more visibility online in order to grow your reach. Maybe you're looking for a more intimate type of group, a smaller group like I'm involved with, maybe 8 to 10 people, versus being a part of a group where maybe you have 100 members or more. So getting clear on your goal and the understanding of the type of mastermind group you want to join is critically important before you begin this process, because it's going to make your search to find the perfect group much, much easier. Now, I'm going to give you 3 tested in the trenches, if you will, methods for finding the perfect mastermind group you can join. So number 1, follow your top 5 online mentors very, very closely. And chances are excellent that one of those 5 is going to be running a mastermind group, probably more than one of them. But if you start with those people first, you're going to have a much better chance of finding a solid mastermind group for which you can participate. Number 2, put it out there. Let people know. Start talking about the fact that you're looking for a mastermind group. Talk to your friends, talk to your peers, talk to your coworkers, talk to vendors. Don't just tell them, hey, listen, I'm looking for a mastermind group. Be sure to share the specifics. Tell them exactly what you're looking for. Tell them exactly what you want to see, experience, and gain. What are the outcomes you want to get by joining a mastermind group? When you're in the process of looking for a mastermind group, it's not the time to be a generalist. You want to be very, very specific. And number 3, as I just mentioned, ask your peers. I think I've overlapped number 2 and number 3, but remember this. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're looking for a mastermind group to join, then one or more of the top 5 people you spend the most time with is likely to either already be in a mastermind group, or there's a really good chance that they know someone who's in a mastermind group, or they know someone who has a mastermind group that'd be a great fit for you. So one of the easiest and fastest ways to find the perfect mastermind group for you, ask the people you know, like, and trust. Chances are really good they're going to have somebody they know in mind they trust they can recommend to you. I'm Ken Newhouse, and I want to welcome you to episode 393 of the Get Clients Now podcast. Today, I'm having a conversation with Dr. John Copeland, cosmetic dentist that the ADA, the American Dental Association, considers to be one of the top 10 dentists in America, right? Let me explain that. The top 10 of 10 are the top 10 dentists in America who've been in practice for 10 years or less. And while Dr. Copeland's one of America's top dentists, our conversation today is not going to focus on dental marketing or dental procedures or how to be a better dentist or how to actually sell stuff to dentists. We're going to focus on why you want to be part of a mastermind group. And the reason that Dr. John is qualified, he's one of the most qualified people I've ever met to talk about this, is because he's actually organized and ran a mastermind group on the national level for several years. And currently, he heads up a local mastermind group of dentists, specialists, and vendors that has produced such amazing results for its members that there's a waiting list to join. Now, lots of people have waiting lists, but when you consider the fact that the top 4 competing dental mastermind groups in St. Louis are either number 1, failing, or they've already failed, while Copeland's group has people literally begging to get in, and yes, they are begging to get in, you can see that he's figured out and he's leveraging the power of the mastermind group to benefit himself and every member in the group. Now, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine what it would be like if you were a member of a mastermind that had 4, 6, 12, maybe 20 other consultants who are absolutely dedicated to your success and to the success of every member in the group. Like when they come to the meetings, as being part of the group, they're more focused. Doesn't mean they ignore their business, obviously, but they were so intimately focused, like hardcore focused on your success. Imagine if everybody had that mindset. Imagine how empowering that would be for you. Imagine the level of encouragement that would give you, right? Imagine the newfound levels of confidence that you would have. Now, if you can imagine those things for yourself, you're absolutely going to love today's conversation with Dr. John Copeland. So if you're ready to discover the power of the mastermind, remember, we're not going to talk about dental care today or dental treatment or dental procedures or how to be a better dentist or how to sell to dentists. We're talking today about the power of mastermind and how you, as a member of an awesome mastermind group, can literally transform your business. And so if you're ready to dive into that conversation that I recently had with Dr. John Copeland, let's roll. All right, so Dr. John, good to have you on the show today. I want to welcome you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing the show. And listen, I got to say, I've worked with a lot of dentists over the years. I came into your office. It is a fabulous office, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But you're knocking it out of the park. And so we're not going to talk about dentistry per se today. We will at the end a little bit, some of the cool stuff you're doing, but we're going to talk about some of the business stuff you're doing because unlike a lot of dentists, and this is not a strike against or a knock against dentists because you guys are obviously really, really smart people to be able to go through dental school. It's very challenging, very difficult work. It's good work that you guys do, but the business accomplishments, the leadership skills that you've demonstrated are, I think, are over and above what, maybe you'll agree, above what the typical dentist possesses.
I appreciate that. I think dentists in general, we're clinical minded and maybe not so well at the business aspect or the outside, the mouth parts of any part of the job. So it's one of those things where I think you have to really take the time to build that skill set. And I've tried to do that over the last few years.
All right, so John, take a minute or two, give us your backstory. You and I had actually talked on the pre-call. You gave me a very interesting story, and I thought that was something that people would want to listen. It certainly would make the conversation more relevant today, more useful for the person listening. So if you could take a minute or two, give us your backstory about how you kind of got started in dentistry, some of the cool things you got to participate in, some of the cool learnings and exposure to different people that you were involved with, and bring us up to speed with where you are now.
Yeah, for me, the things that are probably a little more unique than the average dentist is the way I got into dentistry is one of them. And is I was young and in high school, I knew I wanted to do something medical all along. And I was lucky enough to go to Honduras with my medical doctor when I was a senior in high school. And at that point, I was thinking orthopedics, something in the surgical line. And after a few days working with the medical team, he allowed me to go over to the dentist side. And I started working with those guys. And after a couple of days, I, all of a sudden extracted 100 teeth as an 18-year-old high school senior. So that kind of turned it on for me. And with that, it became something that I started shadowing dentists a little more, as well as maintaining hospital experience. Then I went to Mizzou, went to UMKC for dental school. And after that, I had another experience that I think, again, might set me apart a little bit, where I did what's called a general practice residency at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. And what that allowed me to get was not only more hands-on experience in a hospital setting with trauma and cancer and just large cases, but also allowed me to get the skill set of collaborating with other specialists, oral surgeons, maxillofacial prosthodontists, the lab, things like that, it really set me on the right trajectory early in my career.
Yeah, some of the stories you shared with me about some of our veterans coming back from, I think it was Iraq.
Yeah, Iraq and Afghanistan at that time.
Serious traumatic injuries that you had to work on. And what an unfortunate incident or circumstance for those guys, but what a tremendous benefit to you to be able to learn how to help give those guys as much, and ladies, I'm sure, as much of their normal life back through the dental work that you were able to do with them and the learning that gave you and the skill sets that you picked up as a result. But let me ask you this, John, what's something about you that your patients typically don't know, maybe even your employees typically don't know about you, but you'd like them to know?
So the one thing, and it comes out over time in conversation, maybe more than I would or wouldn't want it to, is I used to do a little bit of competitive barbecue competitions back in earlier in my career. And when I'd moved back, I'd grown up smoking, meats and stuff like that with my dad as a kid, be out there with a smoker with him. And so I did about 5 or 6 years of competitive barbecuing here locally, and Wildwood had a barbecue bash over the years, and we had a pretty good team, and we'd always compete, but we would also sell the product and raise money for charity. So we'd raise money for, Backstoppers, Operation Smile, organizations like that, Dental Lifeline Network. And so I'm kind of a barbecue snob, and I pretty much won't order barbecue at a restaurant, and I'm super picky on ribs.
2 quick questions, and these are for me personally. Is there a place where we can eat good barbecue in St. Louis? I mean, obviously Kansas City is like the home of great barbecue. And then my second follow-up question is, have you ever smoked and barbecued any type of wild game? Because I'm an avid bow hunter.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I, like you said, Kansas City, and going to dental school in Kansas City, that's probably where my barbecue, what do you want to call it, skill set was honed. And I was generally trying to replicate what you would get at what was called Oklahoma Joe's at the time, but now they call it Joe's Kansas City. I really like their style. And, here in St. Louis, there's a few good ones. Pappy's obviously well known. I think Sugar Fire's pretty good. I honestly, and it's kind of cliche, but I really think Bandanas does a good job on ribs. For the amount that they put out for average Joe barbecue, it's pretty good. I have done wild game a little bit. Definitely done some deer loin and that sort of thing. And with game, whether you smoke it or do it conventionally in a stove or a grill, I think the big thing is one, taking that gaminess out, whether using like an Andres or something like that to maybe mask it, and then just making sure you don't overcook it. It's so easy to overcook wild game because it's so lean. But for me, the thing I'm really trying to focus on right now, of all things, is kind of in the wild game, but smoked trout. So wild caught, smoked trout, and I have this whole process I'm trying to perfect on smoking that.
You're really big on masterminds. We're going to talk about masterminds, strategic joint ventures, one of the fastest and best ways to grow a person's business, whether you're a professional like a dentist, a chiropractor, a coach, consultant, it doesn't matter. These 2 particular strategies, I think, hold a lot of value for the person listening today because of the tremendous impact they can make on your business. But, you're real big on masterminds. So what does it take? What's involved? How does a person get involved, either start or get involved in a mastermind group?
That's a good question. And it kind of hits on something that you said when we first started. I think dentists in general are very bad about getting into their own little space and, kind of practicing on an island is what we call it. So you kind of do it your way and you don't necessarily know what's going on outside of how you're doing it. So what I did, there are different ways to do this in dentistry. We generally call them study clubs, but I used a format, a facilitated organization, which in this particular case is SPEAR. And instead of taking people from far away that wouldn't be seen as competition, I actually grabbed all the people closest to me and the people that shared the same referral network, because I figured for our particular area, if we were all on the same page, it would be not only better for us as a group to know what's being done across the street from you, but also for the patient population in our area, it's going to raise the level of care that they're getting because we're kind of working together, even though the patients don't necessarily know that. And by working together, I mean we're collaborating on care to their benefit.
Can you give an example like of any kind of strategic joint ventures that you're doing and maybe a benefit, or how does a person get started with one of those?
Yeah, I think with what you're talking about, for me, it's kind of the reverse referral. So in dentistry, what's common is for your general dentist to send you to the root canal specialist for a root canal, to send your kids to the oral surgeon to get their wisdom teeth out or whatever it may be. And that's very common. I still do that every day. What is less common is for those specialists then to send back to a particular dentist for a particular procedure. And in my case, I have a large oral surgery group that I work with, as well as several other specialists, periodontists, or orthodontists that send to me for more what would be considered in the dental field complex cases, generally dealing with implants. And so, yeah, we do that. It's worked well, but I think in terms of starting it, it's really developing a almost niche skill set. And you want to have the broad base of everything that you do that's related to your profession. But for me, for example, the one area that I kind of niched myself was in what we call kind of the full mouth rehab when it's on implants or implants that are in your smile, in the aesthetic zone. Dentists generally mess with implants all the time, but they're a little more cautious when it's directly in your smile. A secondary one that I'm doing relates directly to that is I lecture to generally younger dentists, but there's a secondary group I do where there's a particular product with an implant company that I'm going to start lecturing for again. Obviously, we've shut things down with COVID for a while, but looks like in April we're going to start, back on the road doing those kind of things where we're taking a product and a system, so to speak, of how to do a procedure out and introducing that to new dentists.
Dr. John, you ran a large mastermind group like nationally. We mentioned that. You run one locally, study club, mastermind, i.e. the same thing. What are 2 or 3 of the benefits that a person can expect from a business perspective? Not maybe from a dental perspective, but from a business perspective. I mean, dentists are in business to make a profit on purpose, just like any other business owner. What are 2 or 3 benefits that a person could expect to get reasonably by their active and faithful participation in the mastermind group?
So I have a very recent example because we had our meeting last night and I just got a phone call half hour before this interview from one of the members of this group. And she currently works in one office and is about to buy her own. And so there's a lot of questions that come with opening, starting, running any business. I kind of helped her get through the steps of starting an LLC, those sort of things, months ago. And now she's trying to figure out, as just any business owner would, what insurance does she need, what sorts of coverage that she has to, have the opportunity just to own a business. And I think what I find the most valuable in these sort of organizations is, like you said, it's not really about the dentistry. We find ourselves certainly talking about the topic of the night, but all the side conversation, the before, the after, is generally related to the running the business. And so you, as a member of this group, whatever type of mastermind group it is, generally get to learn from other people's positives and negatives. You don't have to make the same mistake because you can ask them the question, they can tell you how it worked or didn't, or literally direct you just to the exact right person for your specific need. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of any, especially close-knit group like that, when you're working in the same area, like you said, locally, because you know the person that you need to send them to. And that's a great resource.
Okay, and so I'm going to ask a very similar question. It's different, but it's very, very similar. What are 2 or 3 things that a person should really consider and understand and accept prior to joining a mastermind group? One of the biggest problems that I found, and obviously I want you to comment on this, because I used to run a mastermind group, is that people would come always to take, never to give. They were parasites, literally, in a negative sense. They were never there to give good advice or share or anything else like that. They just wanted to take.
Yeah, I've experienced the same thing. And so to me, it depends on what sort of group you run. And this particular one I do is a closed group. We don't take new members without kind of a democratic process of voting that person in. And it basically takes one no vote for them not to get in. And the realities are sometimes there's conflicts of interest in there, but the bigger thing that you're getting at is exactly what I found is what's the person's motivation for being there. And for me, running this particular group, which is unusual that I run it because 95% of these particular groups that we're speaking about are run by, in my industry of dentistry, a specialist. So I'm not a specialist. There's only a few in the country that are run by general dentists. And the reason that I like that is when it's run by a specialist, it's often contrived with referrals. So you're trying to get these dentists to refer to you because you're looking at yourself as the expert and you want them to be seeing you as the expert as well. When it's run by the referees that are going to the group, we get to pick the specialists we want to bring in because we think we're the best and they're the best. And so then you kind of build your team, so to speak, with the A team, as opposed to people that are just trying to suck information out. And there have been at least 5 other organizations structured similar to this in St. Louis, run the opposite way. And to my knowledge, all of them have failed for the exact reason you're talking about. It's a take group as opposed to everybody bring their input.
Yeah, that's really critical. What about somebody who's considering starting their own mastermind? Maybe they've been a member of a mastermind, or maybe they understand what a mastermind group is. What are 2 or 3 things a person has to know going into the process before they get started? They have to understand and accept that so they can be successful starting and running a mastermind.
Yeah, it's helpful to, obviously you've been in one first, because you, like you said, you know the likes, the dislikes, you see the common threads that are going to get you into the weeds on things and get off topic. So to me, obviously a little experience is helpful in that case. And then secondarily, I think when you are trying to plan this group, what I did is I went to the people I respected the most and asked them to join. And not only in their clinical judgment, but the people I want to hang out with, the people that I know I can ask any question to and not feel like I'm, wasting their time, or that, they're going to think you're unprepared or stupid or that sort of thing. It's one of those things where you want to surround yourself with like-minded people that, it's just going to make you better. That's been my experience.
What's the best success story you've ever heard as a result of someone being a member or participating in a mastermind?
I don't know that I have a specific answer to that, but everyone I know that does it is better in the sense that I think everyone can say that they do things differently because of it in a positive way. So I think it just, everyone I've talked to has just found more balance in the sense of the lack of feeling alone. And that's, I think, what's generally been the success for the members of our club, as well as other people that do similar clubs, locally or nationally, is just that, hey, you get that sense that you're in it. You're in something with someone else, whether you know them, whether they're across the country, but you can at least commiserate or celebrate, each other's successes. So I think it's just, especially in times like this, it just gives you that sense that you're not alone, which is important right now.
And so trust is a really, really important facet of being part of a mastermind, any mastermind group, any relationship for that matter.
Huge. I think that's the key element to any of them. And it's like I said, with kind of how we built ours, is we worked with people that we already respected. We already trusted them with our families, with our patients, from a trust standpoint of their clinical skill set, and then personally as well. And it's kind of like the no jerk policy on the group.
John, what's one thing that's really surprised you most, or what has surprised you most about being part of a mastermind group?
I think what I like about it the most, and what you see in the early years of the groups, is the kind of fear. And I could relate it back to a different group I was in when I first came out of dental school. And it was just a new dentist study club, we called it. And what you found is everybody was recently out of school, and you had this sense of you had to, give your resume. You had to show that you were quality, that you were doing good early on. And it got kind of frustrating because it wasn't sincere. And then we got to the point where we were comfortable enough with each other, because these were people from all over the metropolitan area that didn't really know each other, hadn't gone to the same schools. And we developed that trust that we were looking for. And then we could kind of finally get down to really getting better. And taking that to that next level with the one we're in now has been, I think, the biggest benefit, and maybe not surprise, but the biggest positive change over 10 years of doing it is that you just get that sense that you can really relate.
So obviously you've been doing this for 10 years. That should tell the person listening to the show right now that, we can always make more money. We can always get more clients or patients, but we can't get more time. And so for Dr. John to invest 10 years doing this, the payoff has to be huge, not only monetarily, but like psychologically, emotionally, professionally, all of the above.
Yes, absolutely. All the above. And, I think it's one of those things where the kind of adage of, if you treat people right, you do it the right way for the right reasons, the money will come, sort of belief systems. And I think this just emphasizes that when you are working with the best people, trying to develop the best products for the right reasons, that works out for everybody.
So what's the best piece of business advice you've ever received or discovered from being a part of a mastermind?
I think the best part is probably what I brought in. And I'd say the best part of advice I got was from my father-in-law. My father-in-law he was a custom home builder for a long time. And the thing I learned from him was when I didn't know how to run a business, period. I knew how to do dentistry. I knew how to do that sort of stuff. So the insights he gave me in the sense of running a business is running a business. It doesn't matter if it's like you said, a chiropractor, a dentist, or any other sort of, real estate. It didn't matter. It's you have to have structure. You have to have systems in place to be successful on the back end, so you can do what it is that you are trained to do. And bringing that sort of mindset into the mastermind group, I believe, really was helpful. And then just, again, using that sort of, not just focusing on dentistry, looking at all those side conversations about business, has really helped this particular group of younger dentists, younger clinicians, build their businesses more successfully, as well as their, what they're focusing on from a dentistry standpoint.
So should we actually take a little video snippet like this little section, cut it out, and then, mail it or email it to your father-in-law to let him know that,
yeah. His birthday is coming up, so that's a good enough present.
So Dr. John, what's the one question that I should have asked today that I didn't ask as it relates to mastermind groups?
To me, and you've peppered all over it, but it really is with the mastermind is, what are you looking for? Are you looking for new clients? Are you looking for referrals? Are you looking for that sort of stuff? That's the surface part of it. But the reality is, why are you personally taking the time, like you said, to do that sort of thing? Is it personal growth? Is it professional growth? Is it making new friends? Is it having somebody to, a shoulder to cry on when stuff's not going right? I think that really, once you get into the groups a little deeper, is what it is all about. So I do think you hit that pretty well.
All right, so let's do this. Let's talk about your practice. We'll talk about some of the things that you do there. Obviously, for the person who's listening, they can't see the whiteboard behind me, but you were voted one of the 10 of 10 by the ADA. So tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll dive into your practice. What in the world is that recognition, that award? Because it's pretty amazing to get that.
Yeah. So 3 or 4 years ago, the American Dental Association wanted to recognize kind of up and coming leaders in the United States in the dental field. So they kind of came up with 5 or 6 criteria, which included leadership, advocacy, whether it was, at the state or federal level, education, research, those sort of things. And they kind of took applications, so to speak. So I believe the year I received it was the first year of the award, and there were 200 plus applicants that were submitted by their peers or other people within organizations at the state, local, or national level. And I was lucky enough to be voted one of the original, as I like to say, 10 under 10 by the ADA. And I think mine was mostly for leadership and advocacy and working with other young dentists to promote and improve their careers.
We need more people like that in all industries, especially dentistry. Actually, chiropractic could use it as well. So Dr. John, tell us about your practice. I know you see all kinds of patients. I know you see a lot of difficult cases, but for the person listening to the show, because a good percentage of the people who actually listen, I think, live close enough that they'd be able to drive to see you. Tell us what we need to know about your practice so that the person listening, if they want to check you out, obviously your website, I want to know that as well, but tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, I think we bring a lot to the table that people are looking for in a few ways. And I think the main was, I grew up out in a small town called Union, a little west of where I practice. And I like the small town feel. I like, one of the reasons that I chose dentistry, as well as that going to, Honduras and getting that exposure at young ages, I like to get to know people. My wife calls me the prom queen, because whenever we go anywhere, you go to a restaurant when we used to be able to go, I would stop and talk to multiple tables and that sort of thing. And I love the ability to get to know people over time, whether it's 6 months at a time or more often than that they need work. I do. And my wife as well, in our whole office, we do enjoy who we work for. And that's been something that we've developed, and it's organic. It's not something that's contrived. And, that's important. I think it's harder in today's society, in the medical societies, especially when you have third-party organizations like insurance companies that are dictating treatment to a degree. It's harder to get that. Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's harder to get that sense of, are they doing, is the provider providing the care I need or should have, or are the providers doing what the insurance company is going to pay for? And we do our best to not get into that latter group. And it's important, and it's something that we very much strive for. Yeah, we do big cases. We do a lot of the rehabs and heavy implant supported prosthetics, but really I want to be kind of seen as the local small town guy that you see at your kid's softball game, or because my kids are there too, or at school functions and that sort of thing. So we've worked really hard to be that.
If this conversation was helpful to you, several other episodes that you'll also find helpful, both around connecting with others and leveraging relationships to get clients now and build your tribe. I'd recommend first episode 377, where my friend Patrick Galvin, CEO of the Galvanizing Group and best-selling author of the book The Connector's Way, reveals his time-tested method, his framework for leveraging joint venture relationships to acquire new clients and make sales virtually. And of course, the reason for being part of a mastermind group is to be able to leverage relationships with others, specifically to leverage and tap into their acquired experience, knowledge, and relationships they've formed with others, which is a topic we definitely talked about today. And so if you're looking for a great starting point to do that for yourself or for your organization, episode 377 is an excellent place to start. I'd also recommend, speaking of giving to others and how your contributions come back to you in multiples, episode 367 with my friend and mentor Bob Berg, author of The Go-Giver and The Go-Giver Influencer. During our conversation, Berg revealed his most effective methods for building relationships by delivering immense value so you can improve brand recognition and increase your credibility and trust in the marketplace. So if those principles are important to you, episode 367 is also a great starting point for that. And then finally, I want to recommend episodes 341 and 343. That'd be part 1 and part 2 of a conversation I had with my friend Dr. Kevin Hogan. And as most people already know, Dr. Kevin Hogan is one of the world's leading experts on persuasive communication. And when you're looking to join or start a mastermind group, being able to communicate effectively and powerfully to help others and to get what you want in return is an absolute must. So episode 341 and 343 for that. All those episodes you can find on the kennewhouse.com website. And remember, we're launching the free membership portal we created for you. We're actually in the process of building it for you right now. We're launching that on March 1st, 2021. And this is a membership where you're going to be able to search the entire library of conversations we've had over the last 4 years on a variety of topics that'll help you bring more high-value clients into your consulting business and help you keep them for a lifetime. Also, I want you to remember, the first 100 people to register on March 1st are going to get a free copy of the updated version of my book, Profitable Again, as well as a copy of my newest book, Profitable Podcast Blueprint, and that book's going to be available on Amazon in the coming days. When you decide to register for the free membership on kennewhouse.com, you're going to have instant access to each of the conversations I've had with my guests, conversations which will be organized by topic, plus you're going to get access to my weekly strategy guide for consultants every Wednesday with special resources I think are going to be helpful for you. In addition to that, you're also going to get access to the notes from that week's episode, my own personal library, the member cast, and all the free video and audio trainings that are going to be available for you in the membership area. And speaking of amazing content, my guest next week is Liz H. Kelly, author of 8-Second PR, Energize Your Story for Ultimate Media Success, which is Amazon's #1. It's the top-selling book on Amazon for how to use PR to build your brand, get more clients, and make your business more profitable. So join me for a conversation next week with Liz H. Kelly and discover the secret for using PR to explode brand recognition, your bottom line, and your bank account. Have a good week. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Our objective with this podcast is to help you and your business stand out in the marketplace by crystallizing your messaging, marketing, and communications. On behalf of the whole Kin Newhouse team, thanks for listening.